right.
You are failing to identify
Answer
yourself.
questions.
Put him in handcuffs.
What law have I done?
Turn around, turn back for a second. You need place investigative detention, okay?
You want to go talk to that neighbor right there. He has the garage door to let me into the house so I can get a photograph of the inside of that garage door.
That's all you had to say from the beginning, man.
I don't have to tell you that. Don't you guys understand what my rights are?
Nobody said you have to tell us that. What we said is that you have to identify yourself. You do have to identify yourself. Trespassing.
Okay.
That's number one.
Okay, sir.
To be transparent, I
Peeping
have to
Tom
be
for all we know. Okay, for all we know.
to determine.
That's right, and in doing that, we have to identify you.
No, you don't.
Yeah, we do.
No. You
We
can
do.
ask for my identification. I am not legally required to give it to you.
Except that you are.
No, I'm not.
Shortly after this, the lawyer was released and no charges were brought against him. It is only because of his clear knowledge of his rights that he was able to get out of this position without being arrested. But in this next case, the lawyer even has to go up against other attorneys to make sure that his client is protected. After being charged with a DUI, this individual decided to fight against it in court. As his defense attorney prepared to handle this case in court, the prosecution questioned an officer involved in the case.
Would you estimate how many DUI stops or investigations you've been a part of since being with Radcliffe, at least?
Approximately 25.
Okay, just over the past year or so that
Yes,
you've
sir.
been. All right. Now, did you have specialized training in DUI investigations?
No,
No.
no,
Okay.
just what they have at the DOC.
At the academy, though.
Yes, just the
All right.
2 weeks DUI training.
Combining the simple questions with the officer's ability to answer them so easily, the whole situation starts to seem incredibly suspicious. Witnesses aren't typically this fluent and relaxed, which makes the defense approach this cross-examination in a very direct manner.
Officer Sutherland, did you, prior to your testimony, which began at approximately 3:10 p.m., have you had any conversation with the prosecutor?
Excuse me. I can't see the witness.
The prosecution quickly asks defense attorney Larry Foreman to move the podium right as he asks if the officer had talked to the prosecution beforehand. Though this could be a genuine request, it could also be an attempt at throwing Foreman off by interrupting his hard-hitting question.
Sorry, can you say that one more time?
Have you had any conversation with the prosecutor?
Yes, I have had conversation, and he made it very clear that we are not to discuss anything that was happening in here.
He doesn't let their request deter him, though, as he repeats the question incredibly slowly to show just how serious he is about this matter. The fact that the officer felt the need to clarify that, though she had spoken with the prosecution earlier, they hadn't discussed the trial is a major mistake on her part, as all it's going to do now is make Foreman even more suspicious, which is exactly what it does.
While you're outside, how many additional police cruisers arrived on scene?
I don't recall any other cruisers that were on the scene. I've looked at our dispatch calls for service logs. I didn't see anybody else call out there, and we have a very strict policy. If your boots hit the ground, radio better know where you're at. And I don't recall anybody else calling out there. I don't remember seeing any other vehicles in the area.
So it is your testimony to these, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, today, that there were only 2 police cruisers at 1204 West Lincoln Trail Boulevard at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, that's what that's.
Thank you.
Do not recall any other vehicles out there.
While being questioned by the prosecution, this officer was able to remember a majority of the details that they asked them to provide. But suddenly, when the defense approaches and starts to ask for specifics, the officer cannot recall them. She continuously uses the word recall to ensure that if it is revealed that she isn't telling the truth about something, she can simply state that she didn't recall them.